I wanted to show you a recipe, a classic recipe for slow roast shoulder of lamb. It's an absolute dynamite recipe to do in the Esse. Because of the nature of the way the Esse cooks, the lamb just responds really well to the environment in that oven. What we're going to do is stud this lamb with the garlic, rosemary and anchovy. You don't really get a fishy taint to the meat. The savouriness of those anchovies really melts away into the meat and just leaves a kind of depth, a complementary depth to the lamb that really works. You've just got to kind of take your time over this. It does take 5 or 10 minutes to stud up a shoulder of lamb with the garlic and rosemary, but it's well worth it because the finished flavour is so dramatic and so savoury and so kind of interesting that it kind of knocks the socks off plain roast lamb. That's the lamb studded up. I'm happy with that. It looks really nice. The anchovies, the garlic, the rosemary, they all add their flavour. I'm cooking it initially in the top oven on a high heat, okay? We want to get some colour on this lamb. All meat has a natural sugar content, and really we want to start to caramelise that by roasting it nice and hot. Caramelising those sugars gives you, untold amounts of flavour. That nice browning of the meat is really important. So that's the first stage. After that, we're going to turn the heat down and let it gently cook. I'm going to set this in the middle of the oven, and the temperature is reading very hot, which is the perfect heat for roasting meat. My shoulder of lamb's ready now. It's had that initial time in the hot oven. So I'm going to take it out and progress to the next stage of the recipe. Oh, it looks absolutely beautiful. Nice bit of colour on there. Now what I want to do is slow cook this over some sliced potatoes, and I've prepared them over here. So what I'm going to do is just take the lamb out of the tray, okay, and just set it there. And with our potatoes, I'm just going to lay them out in the base of the tray. They're sliced probably about 1/2 centimetre thick, nice and roughly, nice and coarsely. I didn't spend ages of time on it. Just a little bit of salt and pepper. Although the lamb is seasoned, potatoes are going to need a little bit too. Then we can do just another layer. And I'm not being very careful and doing it as if I'm tiling a roof or anything. Right, the lamb's ready to go back in the oven. It's all seasoned up. I've got a large sheet of tin foil here. It's really important that when you foil up the lamb, you make sure that there's no air gaps, because we want to keep all that steam inside. It's a steam that helps to keep the lamb moist and help it cook. We don't want it escaping. I'm going to set this in the top oven. But what I'm actually going to do is turn the temperature down. Carefully slide it in so as not to tear the foil. And then just in here we've got our thermostat, and I'm going to turn it down to about number 4, which will bring our oven temperature down to hot, and that's the right temperature for cooking this lamb. So we're going to leave it a couple of hours in here and come back to it, check how tender it is. The lamb's been in for about 3 hours now, so I'm going to take it out and have a look, see what we think. It looks absolutely beautiful, and I think it's ready. I'm pretty happy with that. If you can see, the meat's lovely and giving, nice and tender. You can see I can crush that with the knife. It's just exactly how I want it. What I'm going to do is take the meat out and let it rest. While that's happening, I'm going to fire the potatoes back in a really hot oven, crisp them up. They're going to absorb a bit more of this roasting juice and this fat. When that's happened, we're going to serve it. They've had about half an hour just crisping up. Oh, they look absolutely perfect. I want to make a very quick, simple mayonnaise to serve with the potatoes and the lamb. Caper and anchovies. We've got anchovies already in the lamb, but the capers, this fantastic brined pickled berry, nice and sharp, nice and salty, works really well with the lamb. I've got my 2 egg yolks, teaspoon of Dijon mustard and a capful of red wine vinegar. I'm whisking that up, and as I whisk, I'm going to start adding some olive oil. This is where you need a good strong arm making mayonnaise by hand. It takes a little bit of determination, but eventually you get there. I'm going to lay off the olive oil now and just finish it with a little bit of sunflower. I think it just takes the edge off it, otherwise it's just a little bit too strong. Now, our capers onto the board. I'm going to run the knife over them, just like that. I'm not going to chop it too finely. Straight into my mayonnaise base. Lemon juice. The anchovy gives it depth, the capers its sharpness, and that slightly refreshing zing that you get from them. It's just going to cut the lamb, complement the potatoes. Mayonnaise and potatoes, hard to beat. The lamb shoulder's had that time to rest. It's perfect for carving now. It's beautiful and tender. It's going to be really perfumed by that anchovy, rosemary and garlic. A few nice slices of that on the plate, just like that. I'm going to help myself to some potatoes. Nice and crispy on top. Beautifully cooked. And then to finish, some of this greedy anchovy and caper mayo. That really does look so good, you just want to dive straight in. It's a very rustic dish. In fact, all these dishes have been pretty rustic. It's going to go really well with a fresh, zesty green salad. But I can't wait for that.